Hi everyone. This short video is just going to quickly run through how you access online resources through our graded library, as well as how to use Questia's many extremely helpful um, tools to help you write your extended essay and any other essays for that matter. So we're in the graded upper school library website, and which I think everyone has access to. And from there, we're going to click on graded upper school digital library. So go ahead and click on the digital library. And we'll have a little plug for Banned Books Week trivia. Woo! Anyway, we're going to click on online resources and jump right over to high school. Once we are there, you can see that we have a bunch of options. EBSCO, JSTOR, ooh, extended essay guide, how helpful, and Questia. Today we're going to focus on Questia, but whatever you need is also on this site. So we're going to go ahead and click on Questia, and I'm going to back up even kind of behind, like even more so than what do we type here, because I'm going to ask you, do you even have an idea for a topic yet? Okay, I'm going to go over here to the menu, and I'm going to jump onto the Writing Center, which is the first place to start by far. Okay, so I want you to go ahead, and you can start in one of two places. If you already have an idea and you already want to kind of jump in, then you can just go ahead and start a new paper. Okay, I've got an extended essay sample paper. But at the same time, I would also just advise most people just to kind of play around a little bit. So before you even start with my paper, just go to Topic Finder, okay? You can cancel, if you can't see the whole side of the screen, you can cancel out of this right-hand margin, and now it's back and centered again. So my first question is for you, do you even have a topic yet? If you are not even sure what the heck you want to do and you have no idea, maybe you have a subject, like I want to do it in bio or I want to do it in history, but other than that, you have no idea. I want you to go ahead and click here on this topic idea generator. It's super fascinating. You just click something that you're interested in. I'm interested in psychology, of course. And you click spin. And you're going to come up with, forensic psychology, gestalt psychology, or gestalt, and teams and teamwork. Interesting. I'm kind of interested in that. Well, if you're not interested in any of those, spin again. Okay? These topics are it's actually really cool. So this is a cool place to start, okay? Once you have an idea, you can either click on Explore or just go back to the topic page and type in your topic, okay? So let's say that I'm interested in women in leadership positions. Women in leadership, because that was actually one of the spin things that came up. Okay, so I'm going to click, and okay, here's what I found. So this is what I want you to look at next, and this is where you also need to refer back to your extended essay subject-specific guidance, as well as your subject development sheet, which you guys did in your last core class that talked about extended essay. You know what type of resources they suggest for doing an EE in a specific subject, and do they want magazines and newspapers? Are those kind of good options, or do they suggest that you have academic journals and books? If so, you kind of look at this and you might say, well, okay, there's not necessarily as many journals, but there's a lot of books, magazines, and newspapers. So depending on your subject development sheet and the guide, which said what types of resources, primary, secondary, etc., are appropriate, this is going to be really helpful, okay? So for example, if I look up ballet here, look, there's very few academic journals there, okay? There's a lot in the newspapers. I had a student a couple of years ago write about ballet and psychology, and she had a really hard time at the beginning finding appropriate research. And until the very, very last weeks of the process, she was kind of at a loss, and we were really, really, really worried for her. So if she had done this at the very beginning, then maybe she would have, because especially if you type in ballet and psychology, okay, it's even less, 11. Okay, this is, if she had known that to begin with, maybe she would have switched her question around a little bit early, okay? Well, let's look up ADHD. Oh, all of a sudden we've got a lot more academic journals, right? I want to look up women in World War II. Okay, so I've got a pretty good mix, right? Once you have picked out your topic, you can go ahead and explore this topic further by searching for our library. However, if you before you move on to that, and a couple more questions I want you to ask yourself are this: am I interested in this topic? Is the topic broad enough yet narrow enough? And do I have anything to say about this topic? So if you're not sure you're interested in the topic, I mean, come on, you're going to be spending many months with this topic. Okay, it's really important you figure that out. If you are trying to figure out, if you haven't figured out a topic that interests you, I really suggest you watch this video right here, selecting a topic that interests you. It's actually really helpful and it's really short. It's got a very low corniness factor and a very high helpful factor. I watched it already and it had some really helpful ideas in terms of actually finding things that I really care about, okay? Once you have something you care about, I also want you to consider this. Is the topic broad enough and yet narrow enough, right? So if you're not sure, again, click here on this link, and it's going to give you some other suggestions. This is too broad. This is too narrow. How do we make it broad? How do we make it narrow, right? So that's another really helpful thing. And even this is kind of helpful right here. Just gives you some examples, okay? And to think they didn't even do this specifically for the extended essay. The do I have anything to say could wait till a little bit later if you want, but even for that, there's also a link. So once you know that you're interested in it and it's not too broad and not too narrow, then you can go ahead and also you've confirmed that it has a nice balance of sources, then you can go ahead and click on this explore this topic idea further by searching our library. And this just takes you to the main research page where you can edit your keywords. So I'm going to edit women in World War II. I'm going to edit it to women. And then I'm going to add a keyword, World War II. Okay. And then I'm even going to add medicine, or maybe I should add medical. Because I'm really curious about women doctors in World War II, right? So one thing I do want you to notice is see what's here, right? So we see books, we see academic journals, we see magazines, newspapers, okay? Depending on your subject, you're probably going to want to focus on specific ones here. Like books work for everybody. Academic journals work for everybody. Magazines and newspapers don't really work for everybody. So that this really depends on which subject you're doing. But it's important to scroll through here and look, right? Because under books, if I want to look at women doctors in World War II, look, I'm actually not finding a lot. I see Japanese American women in the military, sexual slavery and prostitution, pilots, war correspondents, okay? This might be an early red flag that there's not enough books on my exact topic, okay? However, make sure to check other things, right? So we have a World War II flight surgeon's story, neuropsychiatric casualties. So if you're not sure, okay, you can get the overview. Like, is this World War II flight surgeon's story, is this a man or a woman, right? Let's check the overview. Flight surgeon, Dr. Lim, until their deployment. Should be able to see if that's a man or a woman. It's probably Lamb, sounds like a man's name. Anyway, if I'm not, I can either save it to my active project. Ooh, I'm going to save this to my extended essay project, or I could actually read it now, okay? And let's say I want to read it now. I can go ahead here. Okay, so you can go ahead and read it. Now, the amazing thing about this is that you can save it. You can add a note to the page. Or, you can cite the article, and you can cite it according to whatever you want. So if you want to do MLA, you cite this source, and you're good to go, okay? So whatever you need is here. You can look up certain things. You can say, oh, I want to find the word women in this article. Right here, okay? So you can jump to that page as well. It's super, super helpful, okay? Now I'm going to go back. Let's see, I'm going to remove this from my active project and go back. Okay, I'm going to go back to my original search. I don't want to start from the beginning, so I just want to go back to search results. And I've got all this, okay? Another thing you can click on is, do I want this to be a peer-reviewed periodical, or do I want a primary source? Again, history versus economics versus science. Whether you want primary source or peer-reviewed is quite important, okay? So you have all of these things over here. And the last thing that I wanted you guys to know about is if I click on active project, and let's say go back to extended essay, there's another, so I have, you know, what I saved and what I cited, okay, over here. But there's this other thing you can do. You can create notes and citations for sources outside of the Questia library using the manual citation button, okay? So you can either click on this button and you can create notes and cite passages from other things, or what I really suggest you guys do is get a browser extension, okay? What a browser extension does is it gives you a little button up here. So no matter what website you're on, whether it's Google or Wikipedia or anything, you can create notes and bookmarks, cite pages and passages, and generate bibliographies for those pages just by downloading the Questia extension. I cannot tell you how valuable this tool is. So many students came up to me during this past year's extended essay process saying that they lost citations. They only cited the web page because they were going to put it into EasyBib, and when they did it months after, you know, citing the text and using that text heavily, they put in the website and it didn't work in EasyBib because the website had moved or been altered or something. So I cannot convey how important it is for you guys to get an extension to really have that security so that you can cite anything you want wherever you want, okay? So that's about it for now. I hope that you guys can use the rest of your time to start your project, new project, and get going in your extended essay. Good luck.